Oh, it's David Wilcock. Duh! You already knew that. What you didn't know, unless you've been reading all these crazy comments that go a million miles an hour, is that we had quite the difficulty getting the stream going. This is dark magic, occult science of live streaming. It is not cooperative. It doesn't work the way you want it to. But are we doing good? Is everybody happy? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep, everything.
All right.
Like we're going.
Okay, well this is an easy one. I'm gonna not do slides this time, and I'm gonna focus on getting the ball over the goal line for our global meditation. We are having some very exciting things happening behind the scenes, and if you don't know anything about what I'm doing or what this is or what we're talking about, if you only think that this is some kind of global sick out bad event, you don't really get what's happening right now. We are in the midst of securing our freedom. We are in a long-term battle against a dark organization that has been running the planet. It sounds ridiculous, but we all kind of knew it was true. We all knew it was there. Look at John F. Kennedy getting assassinated in broad daylight, and the media just says it's this one bullet that zigzags for 7 seconds, and nobody bought that story. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff when you really start to do your homework, and you learn about the deep state, and you learn about what people call the Illuminati. And this is not fiction. This is not a joke. And we find out that the outcome of the 2016 election was very unfavorable to this group. Whether you like the current president or not, that doesn't really matter that much because this is much, much bigger than the President of the United States, although he does have a key role and we honor that role. Please don't get trapped into thinking that this is something that he could go crazy and turn into a dictator. This is way bigger. And even if he did want to do that, they wouldn't let him. I guarantee it. So what we're actually dealing with is a military campaign that started in the 1950s, as I've said in all the previous episodes, to secure our freedom. And when we get that freedom, by the way, we're going to have a much, much, much better economy. We're going to have a lifestyle for everyone. When we get through all the forbidden technology and all that stuff comes out, we're going to have a lifestyle where everyone gets to live like they were a billionaire. Ultimately, that's what it's going to be. You will have forbidden technology, stuff that is not available right now to the public, that is so amazing that to try to even wrap your head around what that world will be like is very difficult. But I want you to think about the idea of people being in a spaceship with Jupiter in the window. They're looking at Jupiter as they orbit the planet. And they've got a holographic pad, and they're learning about all these different extraterrestrial cultures and which ones they're going to interact with, because we're going to become part of a galactic family when we get through this, okay? Probably pretty soon. And this is Ascension. The Ascension process is actually happening now. I've been talking about it for my whole career. I thought something like this was going to happen during 2012. You remember that we thought that 2012 was going to have a really bad element to it, but that it would ultimately also be very positive. Well, that quote-unquote worldwide really bad element is happening now. And what I find amazing is that it is so peaceful. We're not seeing mass catastrophe. We're not seeing all these huge problems. We're actually getting a very nice, smooth ride through this thing, relatively speaking. I have some new information from 12 different top immunologists that we're going to go through in detail in the next show, which is going to be sometime next week. And I'm going to have to start focusing on Great Awakening because I have, basically, if you include what my wife is doing, we're going to have 2 shows a week for like a month and a half. And they're long. They're 4 hours long for me a lot of times. And I have a lot of slides and I go through a lot of stuff. So now is the point where I really have to start getting ready for that and prepare for all of you who have supported us by joining that. But don't be afraid. If anything really wonderful or crazy is going on, I will jump in and I will make public statements. I just have to spend now most of my time working on the launch because this is something we'd already planned actually since last year, having no idea that the timing of repeating it from last year was going to coincide with this unprecedented global event. But I love you, and I love that you're here, and I support you, and I support your mission and your worth. And that's one of the things we're going to do in this meditation is focus more on you and your self-worth and your value, because in the esoteric materials that we talk about, you are a being of infinite worth. And I actually believe that, and I suspend all judgment in that sense. There are people who get confused. There are people who don't understand what they really are and what this is all really about. And there's not a whole lot we can do about that per se. People want to be confused. People want to live in trauma and guilt and fear and shame and pain. You can do that. You could look at this thing if you want to as just a big dumpster fire, and that there's nothing positive about this for the planet. And I understand that people are thinking that way. When we go outside and walk, I look at people's faces, and when the shutdown first started, everybody was very happy and beaming and smiling, but there's a lot of people now that are getting like apocalypse fever. But if you actually look at the derivation of the word apocalypse, it's a Greek word, and it means the Great Awakening. Actually, it means the Great Revealing. So it's revealing hidden truths and getting again back to the deep state analogy, which is not analogous to anything, it's true, okay? We are dealing with an international group that has been wanting to reduce population for a very long time. They built these gorgeous underground cities, about 275 of them, just on the U.S. military-industrial complex side that we know of. They are essentially like being outdoors when you go down there. They have domes where they back project the sky holographically, and then it is essentially outdoors when you're inside this thing. They might use a cave underground that's like 40 miles wide, of which it turns out there are many. The interior of the earth is actually structured like bubble wrap with lots and lots of these caves everywhere. So they can go into one of these caves, they can build it out, they can terraform it. It is habitable in there. They have water. They can make it so there's trees and grass and buildings and roads. And each of these facilities holds up to 65,000 people. And they were built so that when they had a nuclear war, which they were planning to have, this is the deep state now, once the nuclear subs fire off their nuclear missiles, what you still have in there is a really great power source. So the sub has this thing in it, a nuclear reactor, specific type called a breeder reactor. What you don't know, and this is again classified information I got from Pete Peterson, who worked directly and very in-depth with Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, George Bush Sr., these types of people he was regularly interacting with on his daily activity. Going back to the 80s was primarily when this was happening, in the early, maybe the very early 90s. Anyway, people who really know what they're doing and know what they're talking about are very aware that Pete Peterson is real, because he was the Tesla of the black ops world. He's got, my God, at least 50 different patents that he invented himself that are very groundbreaking, that have changed the whole field of technology on the inside. And I know a lot of people that he introduced me to who I'm still in contact with, so it's not fake. Anyway, getting back to Pete Peterson for a minute, what he told me, and this was again, maybe I wasn't supposed to hear this, but he slipped me a lot of briefings under the table that he probably wasn't supposed to be saying, that they have these sockets. Now think about this. They have sockets all around the world. And these sockets are in the ocean floor. In a lot of cases, they're along the coast, or they might be inside something that a sub can sail up to. And if the sub goes up to this socket, and if it docks properly, it'll drive itself in, it parks into the socket, and then there's these electrical contacts off the back of the thing that are huge, huge electrical plates on every sub. You can back it into the socket, and then the breeder reactor in the sub will run one of these underground cities that can house up to 65,000 people. So the actual plan, as sick as this was, is that they're going to release these weapons. They're going to destroy life on the surface of the earth. They're going to take the subs, once they're free of their ordnance, lock them into these sockets wherever, because they have to be modular with the plan, so they can't use all the 275 cities at once. They have a lot of redundancy, okay? This is how they always do stuff in the military. There's always redundancy. So they're going to activate some of the cities, and then they have these underground train systems where they can shuttle in all the plates and the dishes, the silverware, the food supplies, the blankets, the pillows, all that kind of stuff, to hold usually 45,000 people, but it can flex up to 65,000. And that's it. Once the sub is locked into its socket, it can run the thing for like 60 years at least with no problem. And everybody inside is just happy as clams while the surface of the earth is a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Now, did that happen? No. Did they want it to happen? Yes. Was the nuclear war threat real? Did they want to launch them off? Absolutely yes. If you remember in 1983, that show Day After, that was supposed to be real. They wanted that to happen, okay? And it was a disastrous look at what could have happened. So thankfully, this is the part that if you haven't been following my work, I want you to really understand. Everybody in the Black Ops community has had to deal with the fact that there are highly benevolent, Christ-like extraterrestrials all over the place. In fact, 95% of the beings that are visiting this planet are what you could think of, if you wanted to use this nomenclature terminology, they would be considered ascended masters, meaning that they are telepathic. They don't need to use mouths to talk. They can. They're capable of it usually, but they don't because it's really slow. Imagine having a conversation with someone telepathically that's so fast that the bandwidth of regular verbal speaking would be almost intolerable. That's what we're actually dealing with here. I don't know why I got into the position where I was able to get people to trust me, except that I just never would betray their confidence. That's always been a big thing of mine. Even if I have a falling out with an insider, I won't make it public. I'll just kind of quietly back away. And there's a lot of people who have come together to give us various pieces of this. Emery Smith has talked about being in front of beings that are so beautiful in their energy that you almost want to cry when they telepathically interface with you. And the way they look at you and the peace that radiates from their eyes and their faces is unbelievable. I heard the same exact thing from Henry Deacon going back to 2007. Remember, I met Emery Smith originally in about 2008 or 9. It was somewhere in there. 2009, I think, is when it happened. And we have plenty of other sources that reported the same thing. Pete Peterson reported certain types of beings that had very, very wonderful telepathic rapprochement with you. You just walk up to them and you feel incredibly good. Pretty much everybody, except for, I would say, one insider, and Elizabeth, you know which one this is. Everybody except for one insider has had positive experiences. The one insider, who I'm not going to say who that is right now, maybe later we will, but he only met with really scary ones that were like gray types. And in that case, he said that it was as if you were in front of a being of pure evil and hatred. And that looking into its eyes was this experience of a being that has absolutely no respect for you, no appreciation of you whatsoever. So those types do exist, but they only represent 5% of our galactic family. Now, this is where it gets really funny, okay? The government, if you will, they call it that. Now we're going to just say military-industrial complex, and then really I would say the dark military-industrial complex, because a lot of the military-industrial complex is turning good and has turned good, okay? So the dark military-industrial complex created deals with the bad guys because the bad guys are a lot more dangerous, and they have a lot better armies and they have a lot better weapons. The positive side will be able to defeat them very easily, but here's the key, they need our permission to do so. If you look back to Star Trek and that whole thing, there is the idea of the Prime Directive, okay? The idea that there is a law in the universe that you can't be part of a disruption of a planetary culture. You have to let them acclimate to you slowly over many years, and that's what we've been dealing with. It's called the Public Acclimation Program, okay? But we've basically now, I think, run out of time on that, and we're about to get the truth, which is great. You know, Pete Peterson was telling me all the way back in 2009 that there was a plan to arrest the deep state, which again is being run by, if you will, very evil extraterrestrials. And let's just be, I've said this so many times, but if you haven't heard any of this before and you're enjoying this wild lunatic conspiracy rant that you think I'm doing, you know, and it's okay to laugh if you want to. That's a good way to like let the truth come in slowly. But let's just put it out there in very precise terms before we start this meditation. I have my clock here. Let's make sure I'm not running over. Yeah, we got plenty of time, 7:33. The meditation starts 7:45. That's when everybody's doing this. So this is going to be a nice short one. We're not going to go long here because I know you guys on the East Coast have to stay up late for this. I didn't make the time, but a lot of people are doing this. We got tons of emails about it, so we're like, okay, yeah, we'll do another one. Even though it wasn't part of our scheduled structure, let's just kick this thing. Let's just do as much as we can because positive extraterrestrials are very real. Look at me. I'm on Ancient Aliens. The show is on History Channel all day Friday, all day Saturday. Everywhere I go, people want to take, well, not anymore, but everybody wanted to take my picture before the coronavirus. And now we just all are at home, right? It's a very, very bizarre global field effect situation that we're in right now. So right over here, we have the singing bowls. My wife is going to come out and rock these for you. We have a whole wonderful show that we're getting ready to do here. I do have my microphone on this side today, so hopefully we won't get that scratchy interference that a few of you were complaining about. We're trying to do the best we can for you here. So my shirt might look a little bulky, but it's because I've got this all set up a certain way. So positive extraterrestrials want you to succeed. They want you to have the best life you can. And they visited many, many different ancient cultures. That's what we talk about on Ancient Aliens. This is not new. They've been around forever. And they've built pyramids. They take their ships that have anti-gravity and they can zap that like a laser beam onto stones and levitate the stones and move them into position. Because why would you want to bring building materials to a planet that you're visiting? You just build something when you get there. And if you can levitate gigantic blocks of stone, guess what happens when you have a building that's made out of these huge stones? It's going to last a really, really long time without breaking down. And it turns out that these beings are time travelers, and so they could come back 15, 20,000 years later, basically in what they would feel like is the same day. So that's another very cool thing that they do have is big time travel, okay? But this is one of the interesting things. The ETs see us on a singularity. They see different timelines. They call it layered time, okay? There's these layers of time, but there's a singularity where all the timelines come together and we all are going through the exact same event. And no matter what timeline you were on up until this nexus point happens, you end up in the same event. We are now in that nexus event. And I've been telling you for 11 years that the nexus event was going to involve everybody being at home and that you were going to need to have stored food and water at home. And if you didn't, you were going to need to get it, okay? Here we are. You know, unless you want to get takeout delivery, pretty much restaurants are out, right? Most places are social distancing. You can't go anywhere. This is a very, very strange situation that we're in as a planet, particularly since top immunologists, and again, I have 12 of them I'm going to bring out to you sometime next week. First of all, one of the things I just found out from a top immunologist that blew me away is that as much as 75 to 80% of the people who get the coronavirus are never even going to know that they have it. And that's data that we already have from Italy and other places where this has taken place. They've already done the studies and they tested people. 80%, up to 80% chance that you're not even going to know that you have it. So then, another thing that I learned from a top immunologist is that Italy, and I don't mean to disrespect Italy, but we're all trying to make sense out of this thing right now. Italy is 300% more likely for elderly people to die of respiratory complications from a flu than any other country in the world. So they're trying to build the whole thing off of Italy, but Italy, I guess maybe it's because of smoking or maybe it's because of lifestyle or pollution. I don't really know why, but it's a very well-known thing in the immune community about this business with Italy. And then even from China, from Wuhan, the new statistics of how many people died from this when they got it, it's only about 1%, okay? That's the new information. 1 to 1.5, something like that, 1.3. And we found out from all of the hours and hours of videos that I've given you before that it's an ethno-specific virus. There's this protein in your lungs called ACE2, And if you happen to be an Asian male, you have a lot more of these than anyone else. So if you're Asian, you're 500% more likely to get this than any other race. And that doesn't look normal, okay? And then what's even weirder than that is that you're actually up to 80% more likely to get it if you're a male than a female. So then that means that all the numbers and all the projections that we're getting are totally thrown off, and the chances are that you got it and you didn't even know. I know that I had it only because I had to sleep for 9 or 10 hours a day. I was talking to Elizabeth, and I said, Elizabeth, you probably had it, you just didn't even know, because that's like 80% of people. And once everybody gets through this, then we have, it's a very unelegant term, we have herd immunity. So this is another thing that an immunologist was telling us, and we'll probably be doing more direct work with her in the future. Once you've gotten this thing, you cannot give it to anyone else, and you cannot get it again, regardless of what the media is saying. And we already have talked about Michael Levitt, as I said, the Jimi Hendrix of immunologists, epidemiologists. He won the Nobel Prize in 2013 for chemistry, so he's not a slouch. And he said the media is blowing this whole thing out of proportion. He was able to calculate the number of deaths that were going to happen in China down to 5. Again, please, there's all this weird stuff going on about 5G. People are burning 5G towers down right now. That's one of the things in the news. This is not related to 5G, okay? There may be a way that 5G could be used to do something nefarious. I'm not doubting that, but I direct you back to this idea of benevolent ETs and the fact that they would not let us have a nuclear war. These banker fools, whatever you want to call them, I'll try to be nice. I don't like these people. I'm not a fan of these people, and I don't want to join them, and I never have, and that's why I continue to do this, okay? I got to look at myself in the mirror and feel good about who I am, and I was never going to take the deal that they were trying to get me to do 6 different times, where I would make hundreds of millions of dollars in exchange for promoting Lucifer as if that's a good thing. And that is the deal that I was offered more than once, because they told me that the one thing they value the most is the ability to influence millions of people, and there's no amount of money that can guarantee or secure that type of influence. It really is very, very difficult to influence millions of people. That's what they want the most. So they will approach someone like me to try to get me on their side, and they did it in multiple ways, and they tried to make it sound very delicious and tempting, but it's not at all tempting to me. So that's the reality that I live in. I am a soldier. I am not a journalist, really, if you think about it. I'm out here fighting a war that's being fought in the virtual arena. This is a cyber showdown in which information is now a weapon. And the information that's being sent to you through the mainstream media is designed to make you fear for your life. It's designed to make you feel that this is the end of the world. It's designed to make you think that you're never going to be able to go back to the way things were. I was just looking at an article the other day. I'll have it in the next show. We may never have restaurants again. We may never fly on airplanes again. We may never have public gatherings again, okay? And they're saying, oh, there's no cure and it might take 18 months to find a cure. Well, I haven't talked about this in other shows, but I'll talk about it now. The President of the United States has talked about a remedy called chloroquine, and it's a malaria drug that's 65 years old. There's lots and lots of it. We've already gotten 6 million doses have come in from Israel. If you do have a problem with this virus, if it is messing you up, why in the hell wouldn't you want to try this? Why in the hell wouldn't you want to try it when the anecdotal studies, right, meaning the studies that haven't actually been certified, the anecdotal studies in some cases are 100% recovery from using this, that you go down to 6 days at the most of flu, and it passes out of your body and you're clean, and you don't die. So it's sort of like this ridiculous thing after the Woolsey fire where we had all these super scooper jets that we could have used to hit it with water and put the fire out, but oh, well, we haven't cut through the red tape, they haven't been approved, we don't know if we can use them, so let's just kind of back off and not do anything because we don't want to get in trouble with the regulatory agency. Come on. If chloroquine is going to work, let's use it. We don't have to wait 18 months for something that's going to stop this. We have it now. And These immunologists were also saying we've had SARS. SARS was more lethal than this in terms of its percentage count. They come and they go. So this idea that it's always going to be around, it's just going to keep coming back, a lot of that is just stuff that the media keeps shoveling out to you from every source. It's very difficult for people to understand that you have 6 companies running most of the world's media, and they have a political agenda. They want to reduce population on the planet, and they took their big shot. They took their big shot because they were out of time. They had something that was contagious but not lethal. So now they have to manipulate the media to make it look like it's lethal to try to get the desired effect, even though they couldn't get the virus that they really wanted to have. Okay? That's what's really going on right here. So how are we on time? I notice you've taken up the position. It is the time, huh? All right, 7:45. So let me, it's probably better when I meditate if I'm in a chair. We'll stage the shot. Just giving you guys some food for thought here as we get ready to do this. And let me have this here so I can see what time it is when we need to stop. Although I'm long-winded, so I probably will go over the allotted time. And by the way, we can use either of these 2 shots here, so we might sometimes cut back and forth.
Okay. I'm getting a little static.
A little static? How about now? Is that better?
No.
Great. All right. Our friend here is getting critical supplies in the form of oranges, so we're not breaking any laws. This is we have a wonderful citrus farm in our yard, and that's critical infrastructure, my friends. That's how we short-circuited that one. Take a nice deep breath now. And just let yourself relax. I invite you to breathe in deeply. And join what hopefully is more than 1 million people who are all relaxing right at this moment around the world. It's okay to relax. It's okay to breathe in deeply. It's so freeing to just let yourself be at peace. To ease into a nice, comfortable position. To feel your burdens just dissolving away. So that you feel ever more at peace in this moment, right now. All the struggle, all the adjustments you've had to make in your life to living at home, just let all that go right now. You might want to see yourself in a womb, that your home, or wherever you're staying, is a womb. And you're in a womb space. And it's warm. And it's relaxing. There's no pain here. and there's only joy. And you know how much you are loved as this child that will be born, the rebirth that you will experience. You can feel the love of everyone anticipating you when you are born. And you can feel yourself floating. And you're so deeply relaxed. Feel the love that your, if you will, parents and friends have as they expect you to arrive in the not so distant future. Just let their love flow through you now. I invite you to become ever more deeply relaxed. Isn't it nice to just set your burdens down, set down that weight that you've carried around, and just let yourself be at peace, unburdened, and your mind is clear. And I ask that you think about the true nature of existence. The consciousness that precedes physical manifestation. When you are in a state of inspiration, inspiring, breathing in, you are identifying with that consciousness that you are. Going deeper beyond any level of material reality. There's something more, and you listen to it, you can hear it. You can hear it calling you. A deeper reality that is beyond time and space. a pure consciousness. Overflowing with love. An undifferentiated unity of pure creative force. Capable of manifestations so vast that those within the material universe could hardly imagine the possibilities. That you are an eternal soul. Your identity is not bound by worlds and stars and galaxies. All of this is merely a stage where we act out a role as the hero's journey, going through trials and tribulations, ups and downs, that cycle of joy and pain called the wheel of karma, which is actually not necessary. You're so deeply relaxed now. Letting yourself go deeper than you've ever allowed yourself to go. You are safe here. It is okay to do this. Going deeper and deeper. Feeling yourself merging with the intelligent infinity of the universe. Flawless and perfect in its love. And you can observe all that you have created. This gorgeous universe, scintillating points of light, billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars and habitable worlds with oceans and a biosphere of living organisms. Each life form on each of those countless worlds is a perfect hologram of you. As the universe seeks to remember its true identity, one soul at a time. The memories of these worlds may recede as they go through long cycles. Civilizations rising and falling like the tides here on Earth. Civilizations reaching their peak, going off into space, building glorious technologies, and reuniting with their galactic brothers and sisters. Organized, effective, conscious and present. Enabling so many things that would seem impossible to a person on earth at this present time frame. And these beings communicate with their minds. And their hearts are pure. They resonate the love that they feel inside. And they are so happy to help other people that the biggest challenge they face is taking time for themselves to slow down a bit and just relax. Exactly like what you're doing right now. Exhaling out all pain, all insecurity. Exhaling out the fiery breath of this planet. Exhaling out the toxins and the poisons. And inhaling pure love and light. Exhaling out any molecular structure that upholds coronavirus, COVID-19, and any other of its like. And breathing in healing, cleansing, rejuvenation, purity. Envisioning the molecular structures of all pathogens. Recombining into something that does not harm biological life. A safe and healthy world. The earth does not need to have a fiery breath. When you exhale as the earth now, there is no pain in that exhalation. You don't need to breathe fire anymore. For the love that you feel is spreading throughout the world. We have far more than 7,000 doing this together right now. And even at that level of 7,000, our scientists have shown a 72% reduction in war, terrorism, fatalities, accidents, domestic violence, and all manner of other unpleasant and difficult circumstances. And as you examine this wheel of karma that goes up and down, spinning around and around again and again, thinking that you've won, thinking that you've succeeded, thinking that all is well, the planet is just fine the way it is. Oops, I guess not. Now all of a sudden, we are in this new thing. Supposedly, the economy is in the trash can. Some people think we're all going to die of a plague-like virus. But there are facts in place that show that we are being born again. Something new is happening on planet Earth. An opening for the real, true oppressors of humankind. To be rooted out where they are. And brought to a fair trial. We don't know exactly when this is going to happen. It might take a little longer than we thought. Now is a time to really embody the love that the earth and the sun and the galaxy and the universe wants you to become. That is the hidden agenda. And you are becoming that love. Do you know how beautiful you are? Do you know how wonderful you are? Do you know how precious beyond words you are? Do you know that there are legions of light beings surrounding you in this moment, holding you up, embracing you and loving you beyond your wildest imagination? I invite you to see if you can feel the love that they have for you right now, the love that I have for you right now, the love that all awakening souls have for you and for this planet right now. It is a truly wonderful thing to be in love. And it is possible for you to release your own disrespect of yourself. It is possible for you to embrace positive, life-affirming behaviors. And as you relax ever more deeply, and your breath no longer has fire or pain, I invite you to inhale the love as you're breathing. Breathe in how glorious you are. You are a multi-dimensional organism, a true holographic, perfected being. It says in the Law of One series that you yourself have enough stored energy to reconstruct the entire universe if everything in it was lost except for you. Try to imagine the glory of that infinity that is locked within you right now as potential. Imagine that you are the seed from which the universe itself could be planted. That the great world tree that all is made of could grow from you and your loving intention to see that none are lost and the great work is completed. worlds within worlds, all enfolded inside of you, that seed of divine infinity that you are, the purity of the creative potential. My voice is about to get higher. Just stay with me. I'm going to speak through another form now.
Imagine the divine light pouring down over the top of your head like a beautiful scintillating waterfall, raining down upon you, in you, and through you. Each and every cell drinks in this beautiful divine light. On an inhale, every single cell receives the divine light. And on the exhale, every single cell smiles and lets go of anything less than that. Continuing to inhale the divine light and exhale and smile. And if you choose, you can ask the divine light to right your body, your mind, and your affairs. Aligning body, mind, and affairs with the beautiful, brilliant blessing of the divine. Inhaling and exhaling. And if there's anything that you wish to ask for or pray for yourself, you can do that now. Anything that you need or have been yearning for in your heart of hearts, offering up to the divine our heart's desires. You are a child of the divine. And if there's anything that has been burdening you, you can offer that up to the divine, or you can offer that up to an angel and ask for whatever this is to be lifted from you. And for the infinite intelligence of the one who created you to bring it into harmony, to restructure and reform. Inhale and exhale, letting go, offering it up. Seeing the divine light raining down upon you, in you, and through you, entering into the earth, blessing the earth, blessing the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, blessing the animals of the earth, the divine light, and blessing the people of the earth. And now if you wish to ask for somebody else, prayers for others, if there's a loved one in your life that you wish to pray for, to ask the divine to bless, to heal, you can do so now. And see that beautiful light of the divine that's flowing into you also flow out to them. Touching them, nourishing them, protecting them, blessing them, not knowing how the divine blesses, just asking for the blessing. Maybe an animal, a parent or grandparent or children. And then seeing this divine light that's pouring down into you like this beautiful waterfall full of scintillating light and touching your loved ones, now spreading out to all the people of the world. The divine light connecting all of our hearts in a beautiful web, a matrix of light, surrounding the planet in a beautiful sacred geometry, seeing this divine light flow through those points of the sacred geometry and blessing each and every being on this planet. Breathing in, breathing out the blessing of the divine light. Asking that all beings be blessed. Seeing peace on earth. Seeing the earth as perfect. Free to be in her beauty. Seeing technology in harmony with the earth. In harmony with the waters, in harmony with the air, the soil, the food and the animals. Seeing humanity up-leveling to a more peaceful, more loving, more nourishing, more harmonious existence. Breathing in the divine light, breathing out the blessings. Just seeing peace on earth. All beings connected in this web of light. All the beings on the planet, including the animals. The children, the elderly, those that have yet to be born, and those that have passed on, the ancestors,
The healthcare workers in the military.
and focusing that blessing on the healthcare workers that are boots on the ground in the field right now, asking for the divine light to give them strength, to give them protection, inspiration, and peace, to bless them as they serve those around them. And also to bless those in the military that are doing their best to make a stand for that which is sacred on this planet, and for all of those who are making a stand for that which is sacred on this planet. We ask that all of the sacred warriors be blessed with peace and protection as we anchor in the sacred here on earth, and we do our part as beings in the legions of light, eternal souls on an eternal timeline. We have come from Creator, and we will go back to Creator. And may we be a blessing while we are here.
And just let yourself keep breathing deeply. Let yourself gradually ease back into your physical body now. Coming back into the room, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Sharing in this loving intention for a positive world that is totally attainable when you stretch out your hand and make it possible. There, now you can see her. We have a truly great opportunity here, and I think that cannot be undermined. The value of what we're going through as a planet, the value of what it really means. Did I just block her? I guess you can come over here, you know. We're in this all the way. You know, this is a life path for us. This is what we do. We've been building up to this moment without really knowing what it was going to be. But we're here now, and we are not going away. So there's so much great stuff going on. Elizabeth and I really do appreciate you. We love you. We want you to feel good about yourself and good about what's happening right now, because the surface layer of this might look really bad, but that's initiation. Initiation is a process where you go through a terrifying ordeal, but you come out of it with a light body. You come out of it with an activation. And this is the first real global initiation like this that we've ever had, where everybody's at home, everybody's doing the same thing. It's the nexus point in the timeline. We're all in this together. Did you want to say something on that?
Well, I always just use time like this to cultivate myself. So I've done a number of live webinars lately too, and really just emphasize the opportunity that we have to focus on our own cultivation. And we all have this space and time, and I know that for some there may be some anxiousness and some unknowingness about the future, and it's just really important to stay connected to yourself and to your good practices, yoga, qigong, meditation. Just enjoy walking outside, and we are all on this together globally, so we're going to come through this, and it may even organize itself into something more harmonious ultimately for the generations to come, which I think needs to happen on the planet anyway.
Well, and that's the briefings that we're getting. So we don't want to screw up what the Alliance is doing. It could be a while. It could take weeks, possibly. We don't really know. And we're not going to be told, and we don't want to know the answer, because if we know the answer, it screws up the plan. So please, I would just ask everybody to remain calm, remain patient. The Alliance has plans within plans within plans of how they're going to pull this off. They are going to get this done. It may take longer than the optimal 2 weeks that we had thought, because it's already pretty much been 2 weeks now. I think this part they didn't anticipate necessarily when they looked at the timelines with Looking Glass. They might not have seen that it would take longer than they thought it would, but they know the outcome, and they've got multiple ways to get that done. So we are not going to aid and abet the enemy by trying to be any more precise about what's going to happen or exactly when it's going to happen, but it shouldn't be very long. And what we get on the other side is very, very, very remarkable.
And our focus is so powerful. There was 25,000 people when I went to the Singing Bowls. So 25,000 people focusing on peace, focusing on love, focusing on good things does change the world. So already, those of you that are right here, we have changed the world. And if we just keep focusing on good things, positivity, enjoying life, maybe we will help to bring it up into that dimension even more.
And with the grassroots support, it's easily 3 times that number outside of us. So I would say the total number is well over 100,000.
So we have a lot of power.
There's probably never been anything like this done before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is actually not the end of the world. Just be clear. Elizabeth and I get dreams. She's a shaman. I'm a shaman. We've been doing this for a long time. I've got
I don't call myself
27,
that,
well, I got 27 years of dream work under my belt. And I do it every morning, and I've never had anything but positive future timelines that I'm seeing in what's going on right now. It's very important to point that out. If you are a psychic, if you are seeing the future, you shouldn't be seeing a negative future. It's very clear to me that this is going to work out for us, and I'm actually very excited about what's happening. I'm not excited about people dying. I'm not excited about the negatives, but I also understand in initiation there's what they call the biting through, right? Which is you got to get Sundance, right? Like certain Native American ceremonies are very intense where they're skewering themselves and hanging on ropes, and they do that for a vision quest. You know, there's Siberian shamans where they chop themselves with an axe. That's crazy stuff. We're not doing anything like that, but this is a global initiation. There is a biting through, there is a painful process that comes as part of our global evolution. What I want to see is that we use this as the global bottom. We don't need more earth changes. We don't need more catastrophes. We don't need it to get worse. We learn the lesson, and if we learn the lesson, that means that we're becoming more loving, and we are taking the focus that we had in this meditation and we're extending it into our daily life. That's the real key. We don't want to be the person who acts negatively all during the week and then goes to a church or some religious organization on Sunday and says, oh yeah, now I'm fine. This is a lifestyle, okay? The meditation that we just did is a lifestyle. The ancient teachers always tell us, live with mindfulness. Live your life as if this is the way it is. Live in bliss, live in peace, live in non-duality, non-distraction. You don't want to have music going on and all this stuff going on. Just focus on one thing and stay at peace. That's very important. That's the way that we're going to win this thing is by showing the universe and showing the earth and the higher beings around us that we've learned our lesson. And you can be part of that. You can be part of helping to make this change come true. And so what Beth and I are offering is a master class called Great Awakening, where we're giving you the best tools that we have to help you be as empowered as possible for this planetary transformation. So that is something that we're going to be preoccupied with very heavily for the next month and a half. We're going to have 2 shows a week. They're long shows. Some of them are with her, some of them are with me. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun as well. I'm really looking forward to that.
So, well, we wish you the best for you and your family, and we hope that you can continue this meditative space throughout the coming weeks.
All right, and thank you very much. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.